The first time they came, it was as if the street itself held its breath. 3 boys, same height, same hollow cheeks, same wary eyes, stood at the edge of Amara's food stand like shy shadows. Her pot of jollof rice steamed in the harmattan air, and the smell pulled customers in. But these boys didn't step forward like beggars. They just stared at the food the way drowning people stare at air. When Amara asked, "You want to eat?" the tallest one swallowed hard and shook his head. The middle one whispered, "Not if you'll shout." The smallest one's stomach growled loud enough to answer for him. Amara's day was already bleeding. Her landlord had warned her, pay by Friday or pack out. Her supplier had reduced her credit. "Madam, I no be bank." And customers were scarce. Still, Amara lifted 3 plastic plates from the stack and scooped rice like her hand were obeying an older law. A man in a crisp shirt, waiting for his own plate, frowned. "Madam, you day give free food again? Not charity you open?" Another woman hissed, "These street children go finish your business." Amara's throat tightened, but she kept serving. "Sit," she told them, pointing to the small bench behind her stand. The boys didn't sit. They stood close together, shoulders touching, eyes cutting left and right like they expected someone to grab them. Amara realized they were not just hungry, they were afraid. She lowered her voice. "No one will touch you here." The tallest boy finally spoke. "We eat together." Amara blinked. Of course. She slid the first plate to the tallest, the second to the middle, and paused with the third, because a customer stepped forward, money in hand. If she gave this last plate away, she might lose that sale. One plate could be tomorrow's kerosene. One plate could be her transport to the market. One plate could be the difference between staying on the street and sleeping hungry. The memory came like a knife. A small child's cry in a cramped room years ago. Her own boy, Ifani, fever-hot and thin, asking for food when she had none. The night he went quiet, and the world went too loud afterwards. People told her, "God knows best, but grief doesn't eat sermons. Grief eats your sleep. Grief sits beside you while you stir rice and pretend you're fine." Amara's fingers trembled as she held the last plate, and the smallest boy stared at it like it was a miracle he didn't deserve. Amara expected the boys to rush the food. Instead, they pushed the plates together in the center and waited until she placed the third plate down. Only then did they eat, slowly, respectfully, as if they were afraid the food might disappear if they moved too fast. Then the middle boy reached into his pocket and placed something on the edge of her table, a tiny brass button, polished, heavy for its size. Not money, something else. A message without words. Amara picked it up. The button had a crest, 2 lions facing each other. Not the kind of thing street children carried. Her eyes searched their faces again. Dirt, torn shirts, bare feet. But under all that, there was something trained in the way they watched the road. "Where do you sleep?" she asked softly. The tallest boy's jaw clenched. "We don't stay in one place." The smallest boy's eyes flickered with fear. "They look for us." "Who?" Amara asked. None of them answered. That night, as Amara packed her stand, she noticed a black SUV parked across the road with tinted windows. It had been there too long. When she looked, it didn't move. When she looked away, she felt watched. She clutched the brass button in her palm, suddenly cold. The boys had vanished into the dusk, but their hunger remained in her chest like a vow. Cliffhanger question: who was watching them? And why did 3 homeless boys carry a crest that looked like royalty? The next morning, Amara arrived early, determined to sell enough to pay part of her rent. She had barely arranged her plates when she saw them, 3 heads peeking from behind a broken kiosk. They didn't approach. They waited, as if they needed permission to exist. Amara waved them over. "Come." The tallest boy hesitated. The middle one whispered something to him. The smallest clutched his own stomach like it was trying to escape. When they finally stepped closer, a woman buying moi scoffed loudly. "So you don't adopt them?" Amara ignored her and served. But her pot was smaller today. She couldn't afford plenty. Every spoon she gave them felt like she was stealing from her future. Her supplier, Baba Musa, appeared unexpectedly. He stared at the boys eating. "Amara," he said, voice low, "you know day learn. Free food, no go pay your debt." The tallest boy froze. eyes flicking to Moose's face like he was memorizing him. Amara forced a smile. Baba Musa, a beg. Make I settle you soon. Moose's eyes hardened. Soon no day, feed person. He tapped the table. 2 days. If you no pay, I no give you anything again. After Musa left, Amara's chest felt tight. 2 days. Her landlord wanted full rent. Her supplier wanted payment. Her life was a rope pulling from both ends. She watched the boys eat, and anger rose, not at them, but the world. Why did it always punish softness? Why did it make survival feel like wickedness? The smallest boy looked up and met her eyes, and she saw fear, not greed. He whispered, "We can go." Amara's voice cracked. "No." When the boys finished, they didn't ask for more. They stood up and began cleaning her area, sweeping sand, wiping tables, stacking plates, moving like a small, silent team. Customers stared. The woman who mocked earlier muttered, "Ihin." See them. But Amara's eyes narrowed. Street children didn't behave like this. They worked with discipline. As the tallest boy lifted a crate, his shirt sleeve rose, revealing a thin scar on his wrist like a burn from rope. Amara swallowed. "Who tied you?" she asked. The boy's face went blank. "Nobody." The middle one jumped in quickly. "We must go." They started backing away until the smallest boy slipped and a folded paper fell from his pocket. Amara picked it up before she could stop herself. It wasn't a letter. It was a torn piece of an old newspaper with one headline still readable. Billionaire couple found dead, 3 sons missing. The faces were smudged, but the shapes. 3 identical boys. Amara's breath stopped. Her hand shook as she looked up, just in time to see the boys running. "Wait," she cried, but they vanished into the crowd like smoke. Across the road, the black SUV engine started. Slowly, quietly. Cliffhanger question, were the boys the missing sons from that headline? And if yes, why was someone still hunting them? On the 3rd day, Amara cooked extra. She told herself it was for customers, but her heart knew the truth. She kept glancing down the road, waiting for 3 shadows. Morning passed. Noon came. Still nothing. Her mind filled with worst-case pictures. Hit by a car, arrested, beaten, stolen. She tried to sell food, but her hands were clumsy. Customers complained. "Madam, your stew too salty today." She apologized, eyes still scanning. Then Baba Musa returned, reminding her of the deadline. "Tomorrow," he warned. No story. At 2 p.m., Amara couldn't take it anymore. She left her stand in the care of a neighboring vendor and began searching. Under bridges, behind shops, near the abandoned building where addicts slept. The streets smelled like urine and hopelessness. She called softly, "Boys, where are you?" Her voice felt foolish in that place. Behind a rusted container, she found a small sandal, child-sized, torn at the strap. Her stomach dropped. The smallest boy had worn something like that yesterday. Her mind flashed again to Afani's last day, how she had searched for medicine and returned to silence. Amara's legs weakened. "Not again," she whispered, tears hot. A teenage boy appeared from nowhere and grabbed her wrist. "Auntie, you dey find those 3 boys?" Amara stared at him. "Yes. You see them?" The teen's eyes darted around nervously. "You no suppose ask for them. People dey look for them." "Who?" Amara demanded. He leaned close. "Men with guns." The teenager led her to a narrow alley. There, on the ground, was a smear of blood, fresh enough to still look wet. Amara's vision blurred. She saw footprints, dragging marks, and something shiny caught under a plank. She pulled it out. Another brass button with the same lion crest. 2 buttons now. A trail. Proof. The teen whispered. "Dim carried them last night." I hear one shout, "No." "No," then silence. Amara stumbled back, chest heaving. She didn't even notice she was being followed, until she turned and saw the black SUV again, parked at the corner like a patient predator. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered with shaking fingers. A cold male voice said, "Stop looking for the boys. Unless you want to disappear with them." Cliffhanger question. Who was on the phone, and how did they get her number? That night, rain felt like the sky was angry. Amara locked her door early, but her heart wouldn't rest. Then she heard it 3 soft knocks. When she opened, the boys stood drenched, shivering, eyes wide with terror. "Please," the smallest whispered. "Hide us." Amara froze. Bringing them inside could get her arrested or killed. But sending them away felt like betrayal. She pulled them in quickly, bolting the door. The tallest boy's hands were shaking. The middle one stared at her window, as if expecting bullets. Minutes later, headlights swept across her curtain. A vehicle stopped outside. Men's voices. One of them knocked hard. "Open this door." Amara's blood ran cold. She signaled the boys in her tiny storeroom behind sacks of rice. Then she stepped forward, forcing her voice calm. "Who be that?" "Police," a voice barked. "We day find street children." "Open." Amara's knees threatened to give way. She remembered her neighbor's son, taken by police once, never returned the same. Her body screamed, "Protect yourself." But her heart screamed louder, "Protect them." She opened the door crack. Two men stood there, not in police uniform, but in dark jackets. One flashed something quickly, too fast to read. "We know you day feed them," he said. "Hand them over." Amara forced a laugh. "Which children?" "I know no wedding you day talk." The man's eyes narrowed. He pushed the door, stepping in, then stopped suddenly. Because behind him lightning flashed, and for a second, Amara saw the crest on his belt buckle. Two lions, same as the brass button. Her stomach turned. "They are connected." 6. Revealed a deeper truth in the storeroom. The tallest boy whispered, voice breaking, "They killed our father." The middle boy added, "They said we must die too." Amara's chest tightened. "Why?" she mouthed. The tallest swallowed hard. "Because of money. Because our name." He couldn't finish. The men outside leaned closer. "Last warning," one said softly, "dangerous. If you hide them, you become enemy." Amara felt the weight of her choice crush her lungs. Then she did the only thing her soul would allow. She stepped out into the rain, blocking the doorway with her body. "You know, go enter," she said. The man smiled, slow and cold. "So you choose war." Cliffhanger question. What happens when a poor food vendor declares war on powerful men? By morning, Amara's food stand was gone. Not stolen, burned. Black ashes sat where her life used to be, still smoking like a warning. Neighbors gathered, murmuring. "Nah, who do am? She offend person?" Amara stood frozen, staring at the ruin. Her pots were warped. Her table was charcoal. Her plates cracked like broken promises. The boys clung behind her, eyes wet. The smallest whispered, "It's our fault." Amara swallowed her scream. "No, it's wickedness." Without her stand, she had no income, no rent, no food to cook, no way to survive, yet she still had 3 children to protect. She took them behind her building and shared the last bread she had. Her hand shook as she tore it into 4 pieces. Each bite felt like a funeral. That night, her landlord banged on her door. "Amara, rent." She begged for time. He spat. "You think say life day pity person? Pack your load." As he stormed off, Amara sank to the floor, head in her hands. She had tried to be good. She had tried to love. And the reward was fire and eviction. Outside, a sleek black SUV rolled slowly past, then stopped. A window lowered slightly. A man inside watched her building with a face that looked conflicted, not cruel, almost pained. When Amara lifted her head, their eyes met. The man raised a phone to his ear and spoke quickly. The SUV drove off. Hours later, a woman from the next street came running. "Amara, I hear say people day look for those boys. Them say, nah missing heirs." Amara's heart slammed. The boys had fallen asleep beside her, exhausted. Missing heirs. So the newspaper headline was real. These children weren't ordinary homeless boys. They were hunted royalty in rags. As Amara stared at their sleeping faces, she whispered, "God, why bring them to me?" Then she noticed it on the tallest boy's ankle, a thin gold chain hidden under dirt. Engraved letters, A. A sound outside made her look up. This time, it wasn't an SUV. It was a convoy, 2 vehicles stopping at the corner. Cliffhanger question. Were they coming to rescue the boys? Or to finish them? The knock came like a gunshot, 3 hard bangs that shook Amara's door. The boys woke instantly, eyes wide, bodies already moving like they'd practiced fear. Amara pushed them behind her curtain, whispering, no sound. She opened the door a little. 3 men stood outside, sharp suits and motionless faces. Not police, not neighbors. The tallest man spoke calmly. "We are here for the boys." Amara forced confusion. "Which boys?" The man smiled without warmth. "Madam, don't be brave. It won't save you." A second man stepped forward and slid a photo toward her. It was the triplets, clean, well-dressed, younger. The caption beneath said, "Property of the estate." Amara's blood ran cold. "Estate?" she whispered. The man leaned in. "Their father's enemies want them dead. We want them alive. Hand them over. Now." Amara's mind spun. If she refused, they might kill her. If she agreed, she might be handing the boys to monsters. She looked toward the curtain. The smallest boy's eyes peeked out, begging her not to let go. The look cracked her heart open. Amara's voice trembled. "I need to know they'll be safe." The man's face hardened. "Safety is not your business." Suddenly, the tallest boy stepped out from behind the curtain, standing in front of Amara like a shield. "We will go," he said, voice steady, too mature for his age. "But don't touch her." The men exchanged quick looks. The leader nodded. "Smart boy." He reached into his pocket and brought out a chain with a lion crest. "Your father would be proud." As the men led the boys away, the middle boy turned back and ran to Amara for 1 second, fast as lightning. He shoved something into her hand, the brass button again, but this time it was attached to a small key. He whispered, "Keep it. If anything happens, use it." Before Amara could ask, a man grabbed him and shoved him into the car. The door slammed. The convoy drove off, leaving dust and silence behind. Amara stood in the road, crying so hard she couldn't breathe. Her palms opened, revealing the tiny key, cold as destiny. Then her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "You did well. Don't ever mention them again." Amara stared at the key, shaking. Cliffhanger question: what does the key open? And why did they trust her with it? 5 years later, Amara's hands were rougher, her eyes older. The street didn't remember her kindness, only her poverty. She rebuilt her food stand slowly from borrowed pots and stubborn faith. People still mocked her. "Madam Saint," "Madam Mother Teresa." She smiled through it, but inside, a quiet question grew. Was my kindness wasted? The boys never returned. No message, no sign, just emptiness. Her body began to fail from stress and long hours. Some days she couldn't afford meat. Some days she ate only Gary at night. Customers reduced again. Her landlord changed again. Life kept demanding payment, like it never cared about her sacrifices. One evening, she watched a mother yank her child away from Amara's stand. "No touch her," the woman snapped. She'd attract bad luck. Amara's chest tightened. She went home and opened her small box under the bed. Inside, 2 brass buttons and the tiny key. She touched them like wounds. "Why did you people come into my life?" she whispered to the ceiling. That night, her door creaked open. Amara jolted awake. A figure stood in the darkness. She grabbed a bottle, ready to fight, until the figure stepped into the moonlight. It was the man from the black SUV. He looked older now, exhausted. He raised both hands. "I'm not here to harm you," he said softly. 6. Reveal the deeper truth. Amara's voice shook with anger. "Where are the boys?" The man swallowed. "Alive. Safe. Powerful. Then why no message? Why leave me like this?" His eyes glistened. "Because people were watching you. If they returned too soon, enemies would trace them back to you." Amara's breath caught. "So, you've been watching me?" He nodded. "Protecting you." Quietly, he pointed at the key in her hand. "That key," he said, "belongs to something your kindness earned." Amara's heart raced. "What thing?" The man hesitated, then whispered, "A vault." Before he could explain further, headlights flooded her window. The man stiffened. "They found me." He grabbed Amara's wrist. "If you want answers, come now." Cliffhanger question. Was this her chance to finally learn the truth, or a trap that would kill her? Amara didn't go. Fear won. She stayed, and the next morning she returned to her stand like nothing happened. Then the street went silent, because 3 Rolls-Royce cars glided in like royalty arriving in a poor man's dream. People rushed out, shouting, "Jesus! Who be this? Not politician, The cars parked directly in front of Amara's food stand, blocking the road. Amara's spoon dropped into her pot. Her heart beat like a drum of warning. A security man jumped out, scanning the area with sharp eyes. Another opened the rear door of the first car, then the second, then the third. 3 men stepped out, tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in simple black suits, but their watches alone could feed the whole street for a year. The crowd began to whisper like a storm. Amara, Dawn, do something. Maybe she poisoned person. Maybe she do juju. Amara's mouth went dry. She remembered the threats, the fire, the fear. She wanted to run, but her legs refused. The 3 men walked toward her slowly, their steps synchronized. Then they stopped in front of her stand and removed their sunglasses. Amara's world tilted. Those eyes, those same eyes she had seen under dirt and hunger. The tallest man smiled, soft, emotional. "Mama," he said. Amara's breath broke. "No," she whispered, voice trembling. The middle man nodded. "Yes." The smallest man swallowed hard. "We found you." Amara stared at their faces, now clean, now powerful, but still the same boys she fed when she had nothing. Tears ran down her cheeks without permission. The tallest reached into his pocket and pulled out a brass button. Same crest, same lions. "You gave us life," he said. "Now we've come to repay a debt we can never finish." Then he added quietly, "But Mama, you're still in danger." Amara's blood ran cold again. Cliffhanger question. Who was still coming for them? And would Amara's reward turn into her death sentence? In front of the whole street, the 3 men did something nobody expected. They bowed to Amara. Deep, respectful, like kings honoring a queen. People gasped. Phones came out. Rumors exploded instantly. Amara panicked. "Stand up. Please," she begged. "People day watch." The tallest man shook his head. "Let them watch," he said. "We hid too long." A police patrol arrived, pushing through the crowd. "What's happening here?" An officer barked. The security team stepped forward, showing ID, so official the officer's face changed. He saluted instantly. Amara's stomach flipped. These boys are not just rich. They are protected. Amara's voice trembled as she asked the question that burned for years. "Why wanna leave me?" "Ikrdi foruna." The smallest man's eyes watered. "We wanted to come," he said, voice tight. "But if we came, they would have killed you." The middle one added, "You were the only person we ever trusted." Then the tallest leaned close and whispered something that froze Amara's bones. "The men who burned your stand were working for our uncle." Amara staggered back. "Uncle?" He nodded. "Our father's brother. He wanted the estate. He wanted us gone." Amara remembered the belt buckle crest, the threats, the SUV. It all connected. These boys weren't random street kids. They were heirs, and she had unknowingly stood between them and death. The tallest man gently held her hands. "Mama, you saved more than our stomach. You saved our name." Amara sobbed. "So why now?" His eyes sharpened. "Because our uncle is coming out of hiding, and we are ending this today." He turned to the security chief. "Bring it." A briefcase appeared. It clicked open, revealing documents and a photo. Amara leaned in, confused, until she saw her own face in the photo. Taken recently. She jerked back. "Why my picture day there?" The tallest whispered, "Because he has been watching you too." Cliffhanger question. Was Amara about to become the bait in a war between billionaires? The tallest triplet pointed at the tiny key Amara kept under her bed for years. "Mama, you still have it, right?" Amara's throat tightened. "Yes." He exhaled like a man finally breathing after drowning. "Good. That key is proof." They escorted her into the first Rolls-Royce. The inside smelled like leather and silence. Amara sat stiffly, feeling like a poor woman who mistakenly entered heaven. Outside, the crowd chased the convoy like a festival. But inside the car, the triplets' faces were serious. "This is not just about money," the middle one said. "This is about survival." They arrived at a private bank. Armed guards opened doors like they were welcoming royalty. Amara's knees shook. She had never entered such a place in her life. They led her underground to a vault corridor, cold and quiet. The tallest stopped at one sealed steel box marked, "A Trust." He looked at Amara. "This was created the night our father died." Amara's voice cracked. Why involve me? The smallest triplet held her gaze. Because you fed us when nobody did. Our father believed. Only a pure heart should hold the key to our future. Amara's eyes burned with tears. Pure heart, no pay rent, she whispered bitterly. The middle one squeezed her shoulder gently. It will now. Amara inserted the key. The vault clicked open. Inside was not just cash, not just gold. It was a sealed letter addressed her. To the woman who saves my sons. Amara's hands trembled as she opened it. The letter explained everything. The assassination, the betrayal, the escape plan, the reason the triplets were pushed into hiding with trusted guards. But the guards were attacked, and the boys ended up on the streets. Their father wrote, "If my sons survive, they will find you. If they find you, you will be proof that goodness still exists." Amara covered her mouth, crying. Then the tallest pulled out the final item, a legal document naming Amara as a lifetime beneficiary and something more. Amara blinked at the paper. "Adoptive guardian rights?" she whispered. The triplets nodded. "You are our mother in the eyes of our father," the tallest said. Then a security man rushed in, breathless. "Sir, your uncle's men are outside the bank." The triplets' faces hardened. The middle one said quietly, "Mama, the war has started." Cliffhanger question. Would their uncle kill Amara to break them, or would the triplets finally strike back? The triplets didn't panic. They smiled, cold-controlled. "Good," the tallest said. "He came exactly when we wanted." Amara's heart pounded. "Wanted?" she whispered. The smallest nodded. "He has been chasing shadows for years. Today we give him a face." They moved quickly, escorting Amara through a private exit. Outside, black SUVs surrounded the building like predators. Amara's stomach twisted. This wasn't a reunion anymore. This was a battlefield. A voice boomed from a loudspeaker. "Bring out the woman, and I will let you boys live." Amara froze. The tallest triplet's eyes turned sharp. "That is him," he murmured. "Uncle Dyke." The middle one clenched his jaw. "He still thinks fear is power." Amara whispered, "Please, don't use me." The smallest took her hand. "We will never sacrifice you. You sacrificed enough." Amara's legs shook as they guided her into a secure room with cameras. She watched monitors showing armed men outside. Then she saw him, Uncle Dyke, stepping out of a car, dressed in white, smiling like a pastor. Amara felt sick. A man could look holy and still carry death in his pocket. The tallest triplet pressed a button, and speakers outside turned on. His voice echoed, "Uncle Dyke, you came for the woman? Then come and take her." Dyke's smile widened. "I knew you boys would return," he called. "Blood always comes home." Then the tallest added calmly, "Before you take her, greet your brother." A screen outside lit up, showing a recorded video of their father, alive, speaking before his death, naming Dyke as the betrayer. The crowd of Dyke's men shifted, confused. Dyke's face twitched, just for a second. That second was everything. The middle triplet whispered, "He's rattled." The smallest added, "Now the police will have enough." Amara realized it. This was a trap. The triplets had lured their uncle into exposing himself, on camera, with witnesses, with evidence. But Dyke recovered fast. He laughed loudly. "Video? Evidence? You think the world listens to poor truth?" Then he raised his hand, and one of his men lifted a gun toward the building. Amara screamed, "No!" The tallest triplet's eyes went dark. "Then we end this the hard way." He reached under his suit and pulled out a phone, tapping one button. Outside, something explosive clicked into motion. Cliffhanger question. Were the triplets about to destroy their uncle? Or would innocent people die in a crossfire? The first shot never happened, because within seconds, sirens screamed from every direction. Police vans swarmed in like floodwater, blocking every escape. Uncle Dyke's smile disappeared. Dyke shouted, "Move!" but it was too late. The triplets had timed everything. Cameras, evidence, location, witnesses. Amara watched the monitors as Dyke's men dropped their weapons one by one. Yet fear still gripped her, because men like Dyke didn't surrender easily. Dyke stepped backward toward his car, eyes wild. The tallest triplet walked outside, hands raised, calm as stone. "It's over," he called. Dyke spat. "Over? You think arrest ends power?" He reached into his robe, fast. Amara's soul left her body. The smallest triplet shouted, "Gun!" Amara ran out before anyone could stop her. "Stop!" she screamed, standing between Dyke and the triplets like a mother blocking a machete. The police yelled at her to move. The triplet screamed, "Mama, no." But Amara's voice broke into tears. "I have buried a child before. I will not bury you three." Dyke's hand came out, not with a gun, with a small bottle. Poison. He smiled bitterly. "If I can't own the estate, none of us will." He lifted it to his mouth. Before he could drink, the tallest triplet lunged forward, knocking it away. Officers tackled Dyke. The bottle shattered. The poison spilled harmlessly onto the ground. Dyke screamed like a trapped animal as he was cuffed. Amara collapsed, shaking. The triplets gathered around her, holding her up like she was the one worth. Weeks later, Amara's street was transformed. Not with loud charity, but structured help. A feeding program for homeless children, a skills center for single mothers, scholarships, and a clean, permanent food court named TRIPLETS in her honor. On opening day, the triplets arrived again. No sirens, no fear, just family. The tallest held a microphone. "People ask what made us who we are," he said. "It wasn't money. It was one woman's kindness when she had nothing." He turned to Amara, eyes shining. "Mama, you fed homeless triplets. Today, those triplets feed a nation." Amara cried, smiling through tears. Moral lesson: kindness is never wasted. Sometimes it returns, wearing 3 crowns.